One thing that I've experienced in the gay lifestyle is in meeting people that were different than me. I always liked that. People who lived in different countries, different cultures. That made them so fascinating. And one reason I was immediately attracted to my husband, Doug, is because he's from Canada.
Yay, Canada.
To be specific, Calgary.
Calgary, Alberta.
That fascinated me. I suppose experiencing coming out in Canada would be very different. Like, for example, let's say high school. Did you know you were gay in high school?
Not really. Because, I knew I was sort of attracted to men because I would see them and wonder why I was so attracted to them as much as women or more. And wonder, but then we were all told, oh, that's normal. That's normal to have some attraction to the opposite sex, to the same sex, when you're growing up. And so I thought, oh, well, that's normal. I guess I'm supposed to grow out of it. So I didn't really think it was odd.
Did you ever date a woman? Or
yes.
women?
Oh, yes. Certainly tried. Certainly did.
And
yes.
how did that go? What was your sense of it?
Well, it lasted for years. Many failed attempts.
Well, you're talking about sex.
Well, I was young. We were young, early teenagers, sort of peer pressure to date, I guess.
Did you have sex with women?
Not really.
You could be honest, Drew. I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you.
Yes, sort of.
Sort of. I say, I've always told my friends that I have never had sex with a woman. I've never seen a woman naked. And I've never kissed a woman. And they find that, wow, gee, you didn't even try it out, Well, sometimes you just know what you like and what you don't like. So I had women friends. I like women friends, but they just don't appeal to me sexually. And when did you think that you were gay, at least more gay than straight?
I didn't know if it might be bisexual or what, or if it might be a phase or what, because nobody told me. There was no class you went to, and learning about it from your teenage friends, they don't know everything at the time. So it was really difficult. Everything was in the dark. It was a big mystery, and you were just supposed to be a certain way. So you thought, oh, well, I guess I'll end up being a certain way. So I didn't know. I knew about gays, and I thought, oh, I'm probably not one. But then I kept wondering, well, why am I attracted to men then? Oh, well, I've been told that's normal.
Well, I think, we were raised to be straight.
Yes.
I wanted to be straight. I fantasized about women, about being married, about having children, but it just didn't seem right. It didn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about your college years?
In Winnipeg, Canada. But I was so focused into architecture, I didn't have time for parties, girls, dating, none of that. I was living on campus in the dormitories, and in the architecture class, you're competing against 300 other people to begin with, and it narrows down as they can't hack it. Only the ones that can hack it and are willing to put in 14, 18 hours a day get through. And if you don't do that, you're out. So I was so focused on that. That was my life. And dating was gone. But by that time, I had met John and realized I was gay because I worked for 3 years before I went to college.
Well, was John your first?
Yes.
Really?
And I met him 3 months before I went to university. So we barely got together and bye-bye, I'm gone. So it made it really difficult to start out a relationship. But I think it ended up strengthening our relationship.
Yeah. Well, John was his first husband, you'd probably say partner.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys were together, you said...
15 years.
15 years. And then he passed away.
Right.
And then I met you, a year after that? Or maybe
less
months.
Less than that. It was the same winter.
Yeah. So you had your first spring with me.
You could say that.
How did you meet John?
I had seen him in gay clubs. I had a friend who was a mutual interest of airplanes in high school. When I hadn't really come out or known I was gay, I sort of knew that he was, and I was sort of leery of meeting with him, but he was interested in aircraft, which I was interested in too, air models and going to the airport, observing planes, plane spotting. And I knew he did that, so I ended up contacting him, and we started doing that. And I sort of suspected he was gay, but I thought it wouldn't be an issue. So I guess he could spot me. He probably knew that I was a possible closet case. And so we became good friends. We didn't experiment much, but we did a little bit experiment. But we weren't sort of matched, I guess, for each other. But he introduced me going to the gay clubs in Canada. Boys and girls all went to the gay clubs. It was gay guys and gay girls would be together because it was a smaller city. There's only 4 or 5 clubs, and the lesbians didn't have their own club. So we all went to the same one, and it was a lot of fun, tremendous fun. It was the disco days, so everybody's up and dancing, partying, fun. You dance with girls, you dance with guys, everybody and everybody. So that's how I got started. And then my parents had a 25th wedding anniversary where they were going to Hawaii. So I went to Hawaii with them for that anniversary. And at the last minute before I was going, I told someone at the club I was going. They said, we're going with our friends too. Why don't you meet us there? So they gave me their hotel address and everything. And I, after a few days there, I went to their hotel to see them. And a different friend that I'd never met was with them, and it was John. I had seen him at the clubs and admired him at the clubs, but never spoken to him, never got to know him, but I wanted to meet him. Lo and behold, he was with them. So that's how I met him.
You're in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Now, is that when you went to the nude beaches that you told me? 10 years after I know him, I find out he goes to nude beaches.
I don't go to them. We went to one or two to see what it was like.
You and I were in Hawaii, and we were taking a bus tour, and you said, "Oh, Jack, there's the nude beach I went to."
That was on the island of St. Martin's, where we had been on a tour before.
Oh, is that where it was?
I had been there before.
Yeah.
And I knew that Club Orient was this nudist resort from France to the French island, Martinique.
Oh, yeah. What did you like best about John?
Oh, boy. Well, he was really outgoing and really friendly. He made friends easily. He always had a circle of people around him. He was kind of a party guy. He was a very sincere, deep, friendly person. He would get to know people, and there'd be no difference in age group or rate. He was totally non-discriminatory. He would make friends with an 80-year-old woman and invite her to the same party where he had 20 gay guys at. And it was just, he was just an all person for everybody.
I think just generally my sense of it is that Canada's more liberal.
I think they are, yeah.
You don't have as many idiots there as you do in the U.S.
They had something there called taverns, which is for mainly straights, but everybody, anybody. They don't really have a gay tavern. There was one in downtown Vancouver where it was frequented mostly by gays. What was it called? The Queen's Arms? And the gays used to call it the King's Legs. But my point was that it's more open and liberal because you go into that tavern, they would have nude strippers, male strippers, come around to your table and completely nude. And down here, I don't think that would be allowed. No. I don't know of anywhere that has it.
So they didn't even wear G-strings or anything?
No, nothing.
Nude. You never invited me.
I never got to go very much. I moved down here. That's one thing, I guess. It wasn't such a great move.
Yes.
No, I like it down here. I don't go to the bars anymore. I don't go out. I don't know if teenage kids and 20-year-old guys are going to bars like I did anymore and, meeting that way because of the social media. I think people meet now through computer, through websites, whereas that wasn't in existence when I was coming out.
And now, yeah. Well, of course,
that's what I think.
After you met
There's
me,
still some gay bars, of course.
After you met me, there was no point
Yes.
in going to a bar.
Well, we went several times.
Yes, we did. We were never bar people. We didn't really drink that much, and we didn't like cigarette smoke. That was common in all bars. And Doug and I met, I think I said in another video, through ads. These papers and bars had classified ads, personal ads. I placed one, he answered it, and here we are.
That's how we met. Right. So, I mean, that's how it was then. And it's maybe similar in a lot of ways. There still are gay bars. I've seen them. I drive by them. I know they're there. I don't go to them. But I don't think that's how everybody's meeting these days.
No, of course not.
Some are,
of course
I'm
not.
sure.
Of course not. There's too much social media, of course not.
Right,
yeah,
right. And if I was 19, 20 today, I probably wouldn't go to bars much either.
You're still 19, 20 today.
No, I think you'd be meeting through websites.
Yes. How did your family find out that you were gay?
Because I was very closeted back then. I wanted to be private. I didn't think I knew that I was gay. I was told that it was a phase and I might change. So I really wasn't out and open like a lot of people are. I didn't come bursting out of any closet. How they know is because my sister came down here to visit, and she found some photographs I had from a gay bar. Foolishly, I left them in the living room. They're in a lovely big album of a gay bar. There was drag queens. It was very obvious. Everybody. So she put two and two together and confronted me. I think she confronted me. We talked about it, and she was fine with it. And she said, "Oh, I guess it sort of makes sense over the years." So she kind of wondered or must have guessed. But then my parents, they hadn't been told. We didn't think they knew. They didn't know. So she said she would tell them. And she braked it to my mom first because we all thought Dad would have a more difficult time with it. And she said Mom was fine with it. And the next visit when she came down to visit or on the phone, and Mom didn't talk to me about it and I didn't talk to her about it for years till finally out in Palm Springs where my parents would go in the winter. In later years, they had a 1 or 2 month rental of a condo out there in Palm Springs, and I would go out every weekend. So we had bicycles, and my mom and I went out for a bike ride, and she brought it up. She says, "Oh, your sister tells me that you don't like girls." And so, gulp, here we go, the big conversation. And so I just had to explain it to her, and she was curious. She says, "Well, how did it happen?" And do you really feel that way and why and all this? So I had to just explain it to her. That it's not that I don't like girls, it's that I find guys more attractive. And I had already been with John for more than 5 years then.
And she didn't guess.
She didn't know. We had 2 bedrooms in our condo. Maybe she didn't want to know. I'm not sure. So anyhow, and then Mom told Dad. The first thing she told me later when she did tell him is that he was very upset. But I never heard about it, never saw it for a long time. And to this day, I've never really sat down and talked to him about me personally being gay, although he's totally accepting of it. He was very accepting of John and John's family, his parents. They got to be good friends. His parents and my parents would go over to each other's house without us in Canada as friends. So totally accepting. And they love Jack, totally accepting of Jack. They know, they understand.
Every time I talk to him on the phone, even today, he just is so gracious and kind. He says, "Oh, I just so like to talk to you, and I'm so glad that Doug is with you and all this." I mean, he's just such a sweetheart.
Yeah, now, I think he admires or accepts and enjoys the fact that we have companionship, the companionship issue of it. The sex issue, I think, would make everything very uncomfortable for my parents to talk about. Back then in the 50s, 60s, 70s, with your parents, imagine sitting down and talking about sex. I know some people do. I can't. And they would just be horrified by even the word.
Yeah, I mean, I never talked about sex with my parents. Yeah.
If I'm watching a movie and some sex scene comes on in there in the room, everybody just... Because my family, very Puritan, I guess, of course. It was just horribly embarrassing to them. Yeah. So gay sex, no thank you, we don't want to talk about it. we know you're together. We don't want to hear about what you're doing.
Well, that's a little bit about my husband and his background in Canada. So tell us in the comments below if you know people of different cultures and how that affects you, if you find it exciting like I did and still do. I'd like to hear from you. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.